All right, now making their second appearance on the show. Excited to get back on Jake Corso and Jeff Peach from the Vault CT. What's going on, guys?
What's up, man? How
Yo.
are you?
Pretty good. Excited to get you back on. Seems like you guys, since you last came on, seems like the website's been going pretty crazy. Everything seems like it's blowing up a bunch. A couple new website drops. So happy to talk about all that.
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely,
sir.
man. Happy to be here.
So you guys, the first thing I want to talk about is the Tennessee trip you guys went down on. Now what was the whole? So you guys got a U-Haul, packed that up, and just head down there. What was the whole purpose of going down there? Was there a certain store you were looking at? Like what was the deal? 'Cause it seems like you came back with a ton of new merch.
Yeah, so it was actually pretty crazy. And the craziest part of it all is that it all came together in like 3 days.
Okay.
Basically, just to like summarize it super quick, we got in touch with a guy through social media, found out that he lives in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Mhm.
He had a storage unit filled to like literally to the very, very top. Of it was between 5 to 8,000 different vintage pieces. We had reached out to him. We were like, hey, we noticed you got a bunch of stuff. Can you send us some photos? I'd be more than happy to pay for shipping. And at the time, he was like, hey, like really appreciate it, but there's so much stuff in here that
Yep.
we cannot send pictures of it individually. You got to come down here. And then at that point, we were like, all right, let's see what we can do. So we met up. We talked about it. Like I said, it came together so quick.
Mhm.
We talked about it. And then we didn't even rent a U-Haul. We borrowed my mom's Jeep.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there was like, it was interesting because we had to bring it to the car shop and all that stuff, make sure everything was good. It was like 6 hours I had to wait at Town Fair Tire. They became my public enemy that day. But yeah, we got in the car at 2:30 in the morning and we arrived in Knoxville around like 4 o'clock. So we just straight hummed it down there.
Mhm.
And yeah, we just went through a whole bunch of stuff. It was so hot. The storage unit, the unit itself was like 10 degrees hotter than it was outside too. But like
Brutal.
going through boxes, it was like
It was real warm. It was real warm. It was a lot. It was a lot to go through, but Jeff sent it like 13 hours down there, and it was a good experience. It was the first time that we had probably gone that far. I mean, besides like vacations to Myrtle Beach and
Yeah.
stuff, but to go down there for business and meet the guy was really, really cool. And being able to like go through just stuff that we hadn't even seen before. It was a great experience. And then obviously we got to hang out downtown. We had a hotel.
Mhm.
Hotel experience, I kind of
hotel
messed up.
experience was hilarious.
Hotel
bro.
experience, I booked a hotel on the way. We were probably like 2 hours away, and I like
Keep in
booked a
mind we
hotel.
were shot. We
Oh,
were
you
absolutely
booked it
shot.
like right before that you even left, or while you were on the road. You're saying you booked the hotel.
While we were on the road, I was like researching hotels, and I just booked one. And I was like, oh, downtown, like it's only 25 minutes away from like where we'd have to go to.
Yeah.
Because the dude kind of lived out like outside of town, like in the
Mhm.
sticks. So we got to downtown. We parked in this parking garage of the hotel that we thought we were at, and we walked inside, and we were like, hey, we have a check-in, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, yeah, we don't have a check-in for you here. After like a half an hour of calling all these different hotels in downtown Knoxville, finally realized I booked the wrong hotel, and we were like, fuck it, let's just stay here. Right on the strip, like next to everything. Super nice place. And yeah, we kind of just hung out. We got food, and we ended up we met the guy, went through a decent portion of the trailer, like of all the stuff, went back to the hotel, got something to eat, and then we went back there that night. And I want to say we stayed there till like 1.
Yeah, like
1 a.m.
1:30 in the morning. We were using fog lights to go through everything. Like it was so crazy because at that point we were up for 24 hours straight. It was such a long day, but it's like when you get there, it's like you ride the high of just like, holy crap, I've never seen so many things in this one place. And it was all like specifically curated by somebody else because he actually bought that bin off of somebody from Chicago. So he himself drove from Tennessee to Chicago, bought it out. He's actually a toy collector. We thought on the phone, I thought he was like a 40-year-old dude. Turns out he's 19.
Yeah.
He's some kid. Even when we were looking at him, I was like, all right, he's like what, 30?
Yeah.
Turns out it's some 19-year-old kid. He's actually a toy collector himself. And like that dude hustles. Like he was telling us some stuff, like he straight hustles. So it was crazy. It was worth it. You know, we came back with a lot of really, really cool stuff. We did the trip there and back in like 3 days.
No,
So
no, did you drive, Jeff? Did you drive the whole way down? Whole way down and back?
Straight there, straight back. It was my mom's car though, so
Yeah.
God forbid anything happened. Like I wanted it to be my fault, you know.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. It was one of those things, you know.
How was Corso as a co-pilot for you? Was he a wave?
Unreal. Played the best jams.
All right.
Good GPS, and then he booked the hotel too. So I mean, that was good. We were a good team.
Now, was the kid getting rid of all the stuff? Like, was that his intention to do all of this, or did you talk him into kind of just you guys going through it and picking out what you wanted?
Yeah, so when we initially heard about it, well, at least when I initially heard about it, Jeff wanted to make sure like everything was kind of ready and good to go before he just threw the idea out there and like, you know, got excited for no reason. So when he told me, it was kind of like the decision was for us to make if we wanted to go or not. The guy had this, I think he said there was like 8,000 pieces in the trailer. And he was like, yeah, like you guys are more than welcome to come down and just go through it. So when we got there, he had the trailer outside with everything in it. And he had told us that he had a bunch of stuff inside as well. And he didn't seem like he was super hyped on like selling the stuff that was inside. So we kind of made our way through the trailer, and we definitely found some good stuff, but it was nothing like crazy pieces or anything like that.
Drops your jaw.
Yeah, nothing super crazy, but we found some good stuff. We put some stuff aside, and after we kind of got comfortable and he got comfortable with us, more familiar, he was like, yeah, like I'll take you guys inside and kind of show you what I picked out of the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
We went inside and he had it says your internet connection is unstable. Can you still hear us?
Yep, I got you guys. I got you.
All right, just want to make sure. Yeah, so he brought us inside, and the pieces that this kid had pulled out,
it was like a museum. It was literally like a museum. Like you're going through it, and it's like Corso would pick up a shirt, and then I would pick up a shirt, and then we both turn around to show each other the shirts, and then both of our jaws are on the ground because we're like, "What the hell is that, dude?" And like he had some t-shirts. There was like 1 of 10 in the world made. So he actually bought t-shirts as well off of a owner of a company called Today's Trends. And in the 90s, they did like some of the biggest t-shirts. They're mostly known for their Dennis Rodman collection, and Dennis Rodman, after The Last Dance, like his stuff skyrocketed in value. So he had like the craziest t-shirts, and then he had some t-shirts that were never released to the public, and the owner just offed them to him. And it was crazy. It's like every time you think you're done, you like turn the corner and there's another box, and like crazy pieces that we had never seen before. And so we were literally in our own heaven.
Now, how did he sell it to you guys? Was it per piece, or was it in bulk? Like if you take this many boxes, I'll sell it to you at this price. Like how did that kind of work for you guys?
So he basically told us when we got there that he wanted like half of the value of whatever we took. So if it was like a $10 t-shirt, you know, $5. If it's sold on eBay for $250, half that, same, that kind of stuff. So we were being like cautious while we, you know, first got there, because, you know, we didn't know what kind of pieces he was going to have price wise. And as we were picking through the trailer, it was, you know, like I said, nothing crazy. So we'd put some stuff aside, and then when we got into the house, you know, we saw $200, $300, $400, $500 t-shirts.
Wow.
That he wanted at least half for. So we wanted to be careful and get some good stuff that either we could make a profit on, or at least would be cool for us to have in the collection that we, you know, would like personally, you know.
It was one of those really hard things too, that you try to like put the excitement of collectors. So it's like, oh my God, I've never seen this before. But then you hear the price, and it's like, although it's a really good price, we just made this trip all the way down here. So we want to make sure the pieces that we do invest in are either the ones that represent ourselves the best, like Corso said, or we can make the most on. So that was probably the quote unquote challenge of it, was just deciding what was excitement and what was business. So in time too, we kind of had more of that mindset, which made it a lot easier too.
Now, out of all of the stuff that you guys brought home, were there certain things you guys kind of agreed on that you would each pull out of the collection and keep for yourself, or was this all? Is this all going to be resell stuff?
Yeah, so actually when we got back, we were pretty beat. So while Jeff was dropping me off, we kind of went through everything at my house and kind of picked stuff up or pick stuff out, either that we wanted to throw on the story or put directly on the website or hold for a little bit and keep to the side. But I think Jeff said it yesterday, like it's tough because we want to keep every piece for ourselves. If we find that shirt that we love and it fits great, obviously we want to keep it. But we also want other people to enjoy the stuff and have the feelings that we get when we see those kinds of pieces. So we have some vintage t-shirts ourselves, but mostly everything we like to give out and give someone the opportunity to feel that nostalgia or just have that crazy piece in their closet they like to pull out.
Gotcha. Yeah, that must be a tough thing, especially you guys going down there. You open up that trailer, it must have been like Christmas. You're going
literally, dude.
That first hour must have been nuts for you guys because like you said, you're probably running on adrenaline. You guys are probably already beat. Yeah. So now you're just going through it like crazy, and then hour 2 hits and you're finding new stuff and you're getting a little bit more worn down. So that must have just been a whole whirlwind of emotions for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. And like that was both of our first times being in Tennessee. Like we had both been to Myrtle Beach and all that stuff before, but never actually in Tennessee. So like it was almost like a culture shock too when we first got there, because like when you drive to Myrtle Beach, you see like the South, but you don't see like
not really,
the authentic, like houses so far away from each other, hills, like the craziest stuff. And so like it was us just trying to take that all in, but also realize, hey, we're here for business. Let's get it done while we can. And just like every box you open, it's just something new. But we tried to keep that mindset of like, okay, it's a cool piece, but we've seen that before, and we didn't just drive X amount of time just to come down here and get some stuff that we can go into a thrift store and get. So we really wanted to lock down on the harder to find pieces and the pieces that we would pull out at an event or something like that, and people would be like, dang, okay, I see what you're doing.
No, so you guys were out at Holyoke yesterday. How did that go overall for you guys? Was it good exposure? Did you guys sell a lot? Like just overall the experience for you?
Yeah, so it was one of our first event. We did a similar event 2 or 3 years ago.
Long ago.
Which it was a sneaker event. And when we did it, 2 or 3 years ago, it was in like a high school gym, and I want to say there was probably like 25 vendors maybe.
Okay.
And we sold like 2 things.
It made like $50.
Yeah.
we lost money on the whole thing.
It was definitely something that we wanted to be careful about going into this time. But the people who reached out to us were absolutely amazing. And they told us there was going to be probably 70 vendors there. And they had one last month that went over really, really well. We heard a lot of good things about. And we were going to be the only clothes vendor there.
Nice.
Yeah. So we basically were like, well, this could go really, really well, or no one would be interested in clothes.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we got there. It was in Holyoke. So we got there around 10 and set up, started at 11. And it kind of just took off after like the first hour. I think word kind of spread. We did a $10 to $20 pile, which was just like all basic vintage t-shirts. And then we had like sports and some other things. And I think the word kind of got around and like of the event, and a lot of people ended up stopping by and picking up some really, really cool stuff.
That's good. Now, when you get, so like if you have the $10, $20 pile out and then you've got other stuff up on a hanger and stuff, do you get a lot of kids that will come over and try to haggle with you price wise? And how do you guys kind of go about that? Like if somebody's really lowballing you on something, or if it's reasonable, what's your whole approach when it comes to something like that?
Yeah. So, I mean, as resellers ourselves, we understand the mindset, but our goal is to try to price things under the market. So, I mean, usually when it happens, so yesterday, for an example, somebody came up to us and we're like, hey, we want 70 for that t-shirt. and they were like, would you do 60? And then we realized that they had like a couple other things in their hand. And at that point, it's like, okay, yeah, we'll do 60 because we're more than happy to do bulk deals. But there's also sometimes too, to where like we have something at a really, really good price that if we were to try to list it elsewhere, it would go for another $40 more.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It really just depends. Like, and because in that case, we would just be firm on the price. You just try to be polite about it, make sure that you tell them that, hey, maybe if you buy a little bit more, we can work something out.
Help it out
And
on
you
that.
usually people are really understanding. You don't get that person that like turns it into a hostile situation at all. It's just kind of like to break the awkwardness of it. You make them laugh, you say a joke, something like that. And like I said, yesterday, we didn't really have to deal with too much of that. So it was really fun.
Have you ever had that happen? Maybe not because like you said, this is your second event, but in the DMs dealing with somebody where it turns into a hostile situation where they're like, I'm not giving you more than this and I want the shirt. Like, has that ever happened to you?
I wouldn't say it ever got like hostile or aggressive or anything like that. It kind of just ends with one of the parties not answering each other,
Okay.
or just like a low ball that doesn't require an answer. Like some people know what they're talking about and will lowball you on purpose. And there's just no reason to even like give them the time of day. But sometimes you do get people that may not know or, be into the community or prices and stuff like that. So if we can like educate a little bit and just be like, hey, this is worth this much because of this, or if we go to a different platform, like it'll sell for this much. Everyone is pretty much understanding, unless they're really trying to like price gouge you or just really rip you off in some sense.
It also shows what kind of people they are too. Because if you
Mhm.
like, hey, I want $50 for this, well, I wouldn't pay more than 20. And it's like, at that point, you just politely say to them, it's like, well, there are other ones online if you want to go, haggle with
Check it
them,
out,
but
yeah.
we'd be firm at this. So yesterday we brought the Bulls wrap tee that we found this month. We brought that one out, and it was pretty funny because like we showed somebody and they're like, how much for that? And we're like, $5. And they're like, $5? And we're like, no, 500. We're like, no, 500. And they're like,
Right.
oh wow, like okay. And they're like, well, some of them were like, wow, like kind of like they're like, these guys are tripping right now. But other people were like, I would never pay 500 for that, but I understand why other
They
people
get it. Yeah.
exactly. And it was funny. We had one kid come up to us and like he like walked up to the booth and wasn't really looking through anything. So we like sparked that conversation because we didn't know if he wanted to say something. And he was like, hey, like I heard you guys got a $500 t-shirt. I don't want to buy it. I just want to see what it looks like. And we're like, oh yeah, come here. We'll show it to you, no problem. And like for it to be a sneaker event when the vintage people come out, I don't understand why they're charging $1,000 for a pair of sneakers.
Mhm.
They don't understand why we're charging 500 for a t-shirt. So it's like that cool education thing. So we're like, oh, this is why. Can you mind telling me why those shoes are worth that much? And then they educate you. And that's just really what the community should be all about.
Now, when you get a T-shirt like that, where you guys are selling it at $500, how do you figure that out as the price? Do you look on eBay and see what the market value for something like that is, or just how do you evaluate price?
Yeah. So that's a very good question. Really, when it comes down to it, if it's something that big, we try to like educate ourselves on the market a little bit. Right now in the vintage community, any sort of wrap tee goes for like really no less than $300. It's pretty crazy because they go from 300, but then there's some like really rare like they call it wrap tees, but it's the design itself that what is considered a wrap tee. But then there are actual like Wu-Tang, Tupac, Biggie. Those touch
Gotcha.
anywhere between like a rack to like some people have sold some wrap tees for 6,000. So it's like it's crazy, and everything is worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. So when it comes to the lower price pieces, we have an idea now. We've had so many t-shirts that it's like, oh, we'll
We
price it
kinda
at
know,
that.
yeah.
We'll do that. But when it comes to something like the wrap tee, it's like, yeah, I see the comps are going for 550, 600. Let's hook it up. We'll do 500 on this one. And if
Mhm.
somebody comes in and they buy 10 other things, maybe we can come down a little bit more on it too.
And the market is always changing. A lot of cultural events that like happen change the market and the price of things. Like for example, when The Last Dance came out, all that Bulls
Mhm.
stuff and Jordan pieces went up. And when Kobe passed, a lot of things changed with that too. And then you see the music side of things with MF Doom and X and stuff like that. So when things in the world like change, it changes the market too, and the prices of stuff. And you just have to be knowledgeable about it and take it into the account, but also do it the right way and respectfully, because we don't really believe in like making profits off of the passing of, you know, icons and stuff like that. So, you know, I respect it, and, you know, everyone can get their hustle on, but, you know, just be respectful and knowledgeable about the stuff that's going on around you when you're doing that type of stuff.
The Kobe death was the one I immediately thought of when you said like the trends happening. I can imagine a lot of the Kobe like throwback jerseys, t-shirts, shorts must have just been going like the price must have went up hundreds of dollars on stuff like that. So when something like that happens, how do you kind of go about that? Because you said you don't want to profit off of the death of an icon, but you know that you can get more money when it comes down to it for a Kobe t-shirt, or like when Michael Jackson had passed, a Michael Jackson t-shirt or Pop Smoke, something like that.
I think it kind of just depends. I don't think there's really any right time for it, but I think it kind of depends where you're at, either as a business or as a reseller or whatever. I mean, if you have a Kobe jersey, you know, in the closet that you haven't worn, and you're not like a reseller or anything like that, and you're like, oh damn, I'm gonna make an extra $600, you know, on eBay. It is what it is. Like I'm not gonna, you know, say anything about that. But if you are a reseller, you do have a business, or it's something that you do regularly and you're looking for stuff like that to happen just so you can make a profit, I think that's where it kind of comes in, like your morals and stuff like that. It's just, I mean, if they need it that bad, you know, they need that profit margin that bad, then more power to you. It is what it is. But we're in a position where we don't feel the need to do that. And I know Jeff feels the same way. I just don't think it's the right thing.
It's pretty crazy too, because like, for example, we'll take a Kobe Bryant jersey. So Kobe Bryant, when he came into the league, Champion was still making jerseys. So for like 1 or 2 years, there was like non-shoulder cut, so like the tank top vibe jerseys. So Kobe number 8, before he passed away, you'd see him anywhere between like 60 to 100. Now they're touching 2 to 3, sometimes even 4, and like it's kind of messed up. You know, it really stinks when you see people profiting off the death of somebody else. But I think the first thing that must be done is that you have to give it time. You have to show respect as well too. You know, people who post things like the next day and they say for sale, it's like, that's the stuff that grinds our gears. It's like, you can post it all you want, like post it and say RIP Mamba, and then just make sure you write like not for sale, just because it's like, you don't use the downfalls of others to try to profit. And I think it's very tough in business to try to distinguish that, but you see a lot of people try to do it. And that's one thing that we try to make sure that we don't do, is that, I mean, in time we'll eventually sell it. And if that right person comes up, like a real diehard Kobe fan comes up, we're more than happy to give them a deal. You know, I would much rather be the people who sell it to them for less than what it's going for, just because I don't want them to get taken advantage of by some other person, you know, if that makes sense.
Completely get that. Yeah. Now, throughout the life of the vault being what it's been, how has your guys' relationship been? I think with you guys, you were friends beforehand, you were close friends. Now you're still friends and you're doing a business together. How has that kind of altered or made your relationship better?
Well, I mean, there's 2 people that I talk to every single day. It's Jake and my girlfriend. Those are the people I text every single day. And it's like, it's communication. That's really just what it comes down to. We were best friends before we started this, and we're still best friends. I think it made us a lot closer though. You know, we share our ideas a lot more freely now. We talk, like I said, we talk every single day. We've definitely found that it was very hard to start finding that mix of like, because we're best friends, we have the same friends, we go out together. You know, it's hard to like distinguish business, friendship. So it's like when we try to go out with our friends now, it's like we just want to be friends. You know, we don't really want to talk about, you know, what we're doing in the business world and all that stuff. You know, we make sure that we separate our time from business and friends. And I think that's what we do very well in, and that's why we've been the same people that we've been since we started.
And I think we just work really well together, like in general and in a business sense as well. I think, you know, we have strengths and weaknesses, and we're able to differentiate them and work on them together. And I mean, it's definitely been, you know, tested for the last 4.5 years, but you know, we're still friends, and we're still working on things, and, you know, just trying to be the best that we can be. And like Jeff said, communication is the number one thing. I mean, as long as we know what's going on with each other and kind of where, you know, our heads are at with everything, then it's easy from there.
To kind of break it down, it's almost like you're in another relationship. It's like, because it's funny, because like 3 to 4 days a week, I go up to my girlfriend's house. So that involves a lot of communication with what's going on back here, what's going on up there, what's going on with orders, what's going on with deliveries and all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, it's literally like it's its own relationship, but I feel as if we've done very, very well in that. We haven't killed each other yet, so that's a positive sign. But yeah, and it's also one of those things too. You get better at it as you go. From where we started to where we are now, it's so much better. It helps obviously that I'm not living at school anymore, but you know, it just having that close relationship that we had before, I think also gives us the advantage because we are boys, you know. It works out in our favor.
Now, so the website has been going strong. You just had, it's a NASCAR Drop, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, do you notice more of a, do you guys do that on purpose with the seasons? Because the hockey one, you dropped it in the winter. This one is kind of big NASCAR season right now. Is that a purposeful thing on your part, or just when you have enough of the NASCAR gear or NHL gear, do you think like we should just drop it now?
Yeah, so I mean, that's a really good question. It's a little bit of both, but basically, we're always paying attention to kind of what's going on culturally, either in sports or music or, you know, anything else. So we do pay attention to that stuff, and it kind of coincides with what we have inventory wise. And after we did the NBA drop, you know, we noticed that we had a lot of race tees, and they do really well for us. You know, I think that style of t-shirt and stuff did really well, and we decided, hey, why don't we do like a motorsports drop? We can add some Harley tees in there, which we had a ton of. And yeah, you know, with NASCAR, you know, still being strong and stuff like that, the warmer weather and just people getting back outside in general, you know, we thought, hey, why not let's do that.
We try to also take into account, there's like two things we take into account: what time of year it is, but also what people are going to be wearing. So when we did the hockey drop, it was winter time. You know, everybody wears hockey jerseys in the winter, you know, because when it's 95 degrees like today, the thought of long sleeves makes you want to die, you know? So it's like one of those things. The only one that was like kind of like just put together randomly was the Bruins drop that we did. Just because we literally, we bought a whole guy out of every single one of those t-shirts. That all came from one person in one day. So it was one of those things, we had so much, we didn't know how to do it. So we're like, screw it, we're going to throw it up on the website. But when it came to the NBA drop, we launched it the day the NBA playoffs started. So we tried to line that up. And then when it came to this drop, the NASCAR drop, we realized that most of the NASCAR t-shirts sell during the summer. The loud colors on them are like what makes it pop. You know, the bright weather, the hot weather, everything. So that's one thing that we try to take into account with this. And now going into our next drop, we're going to kind of take in everything around us and kind of take the signs that are given and find out where we're going to go from there.
I'm assuming it'll probably be football related. Will you guys think like college football and NFL drop, combine it all together and have one big drop, or maybe something in between? I could be completely wrong.
Well, I guess you're going to have to wait and see what we do next. The vaultct.shop or the Vault CT on Instagram for sure. We're definitely going to be working for the next couple months to, you know, figure something cool out. Yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys coming on today. Next drop comes out hopefully in the fall. Get you back on, talk about that. And I'm sure you guys will have had another big trip or something along those lines that we could talk about.
Yeah, definitely.
Hopefully.
go follow, plug away again, Instagram, where everybody can find you, the website, plug that again.
Yeah, it's the Vault CT on Instagram and the vaultct.shop online. We add new stuff all the time. We're always posting, always doing something. We have another event in 2 weeks in Pittsfield. We'll have details for that on the Instagram if anybody's interested in coming out. And we got some big stuff planned. So definitely stick around.
Awesome. Jeff and Jake, I appreciate you guys coming on. And
Yes, sir. Thanks
thank
for
you for
having us.
listening to this episode of the My Parents Office podcast. Stay tuned.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having us.